After Judo and the Greeners arrived in Canvas Town to find a good luck charm, they and their supporters set off to the Forbidden Zone. Their mission was to track down a mysterious woman who claimed to have seen someone cross the border, a clue that might reveal how to return to their world. In this video, we'll find out if she's a friend or foe. This part of the story is very dramatic, so stick around until the end. In the next scene, we return to the cleaners' headquarters. A man says he has completed something and claims it as his own work. Rudo doesn't understand what the man is saying, so he asks who he is. Samuel welcomes them back and says she heard about what happened in Canvas Town, calling the situation unfortunate. This surprises Judo because she knows about it. The man then says that the mask for Rudo is ready. This makes Engine understand his meaning. Engine explains that this person is a specialist who fabricates equipment and tools for them, the cleaners, and his name is August. He adds that Rudo's full mask seems to be finished, and August confirms it. He says it fits perfectly, and since he had never met Rudo, he measured him in his sleep, so it fits Rudo perfectly. He also says that Enin and Samil told him most about Rudo's personality, so they decided to follow the boss's choice and make it look super cool. Rudo reacts with, "Hold on a minute," and asks August if he really measured him in his sleep. August says he was lucky Rudo didn't lock the door, so Rudo calls him a jerk. While Enin asks if a Sky Dweller wouldn't lock the door, Rio remarks that Rudo can't sleep soundly and someone must be very skilled to find him deeply asleep. Rudo asks her how she knows, and just then, someone starts walking towards them. It's Asia calling her brother, which surprises Rudo. August greets his sister. She tells him not to cause trouble for others anymore because he's always noisy. Rudo then asks what August just said and if they are really siblings. After that, they place Rudo's full mask on a suitcase and all head to the cleaner's garage. Rudo feels annoyed because there are too many noisy people. So Janka and Enin look at him, and Enin tells him to take off his collar for a bit, which confuses him. We learn that the kanji for Joker on the collar literally means the string that connects human life, and Rudo takes it off. Meanwhile, the other cleaners start doing something with their fingers. Some bite them, others use scissors to cut. Rudo is shocked and asks what they're doing. Engine reassures him and asks for his collar. They all let their blood drip, and Engine explains that the collar is like a transmitter, or rather a phone, and Rudo can use it to contact the people with whom he exchanged blood. Rudo says, so that's why everyone wears those collars, and he wonders what kind of technology it is, but then retracts his words and asks if it's some kind of power from the benefactor. Follow says there's something about exchanging blood that makes you feel like friends, and Rudo can call them anytime. Engine then says that, by the way, Rudo should also give them his blood. This makes Rudo's eyes widen. After that, the cleaners leave. Engine says they will finally go look for the woman in the Forbidden Zone. And he also asks if Rudo is carrying too much luggage. They will have to walk all the way, so Rudo should only carry what he can handle. And Rudo replies that it's just backup in case it's needed. He adds that this will be Rudo's second time in the Forbidden Zone, and once they arrive, danger will await them. So he tells Rudo to be ready. Rudo focuses intensely after Engine says that. And in the next scene, they have arrived at the Forbidden Zone. The desert region is known as Penta. Engine also mentions that it's extremely hot there. One of them is checking the sand and asks if it's really sand or waste that has turned into dust. They suddenly hear a roar, so everyone becomes alert. Engine says that mutated beasts are approaching, and Rudo is ready to fight. In a flashback, August had told him that for equipment in the Forbidden Zone, he needed to wear the half-mask first. Then it would be connected to an oxygen tank, and the full mask would be completed by putting on the full face cover. That would be his full mask. Just then, a giant beast emerges from the desert. It looks like a giant scorpion, and Rio remarks how huge it is. Her teammates have started observing it. While Delman tells Rudo he'll need to get used to this, and Tem asks if this is starting to get fun. Engine says that according to witnesses, the woman is much further away than their current location. So Rudo must not fall behind? Rudo replies seriously, of course. And Anon adds, use your gloves to deal with them using 3 words: reduce, reuse, and recycle, then go find that woman. While the Greeners are fighting, Tom says she's going to start recording. The first mutated beast they encounter in the Forbidden Zone is called Penta, shaped like a scorpion. And due to its thick shell and terrifying appearance, it seems to have a scorpion-like attack mechanism. So it might be reasonable to assume it uses both its claws and tail for that purpose. Then the footage shows the Greeners fighting mutated beasts. One person stabs a beast through the head. While Rio directly hits the tail of another, Rio stabs her scissors into the mutated beast, slashes it, and jumps high to escape. When she is high enough and far from the beast, she performs multiple somersaults to gain momentum and throws her scissors at the mutated beast. Due to multiple cuts, slashes, and stabs, Rio severs the mutated beast's stinger, and it flies away due to the force of the cut. While the stinger is spinning in the air, it flies past Janka and hits another mutated beast that looks like a giant scorpion. That beast gets angry after being hit, and Janka shouts that it wasn't his fault. But the ferocious beast still charges at him. He spins his beloved staff to prepare for battle and tells the beast to shut up because it's too noisy. The beast then launches a series of attacks at Janka, and chaos erupts. But Rudo's trainer is agile enough to dodge them all. The beast continuously launches stinger attacks at Janka, but he blocks them. The mutated beast then tries to use a powerful stinger thrust, but Janka dodges while lunging forward. He then stabs the beast's tail and also hits its head with one blow. He then uses the sharp spikes of his jinky. They retract and then pierce the beast's face. The mutated beast's head explodes due to countless sharp spikes, and it is completely defeated by Janka. However, just as he turns around, another mutated beast is ready to fight him. He prepares to attack, but when he looks up at the sky, he sees someone descending, and it's none other than Engine and Hit Unbreaker. Engine uses his skill, and while he attacks, his teammates are also eliminating other mutated beasts in the area. Rio and Janka have just finished off the mutated beasts they were fighting, but amidst the dust, there is still one more. It approaches Enon, who stands there staring at the beast, surprised that he missed, and he says he'll leave the rest to Rudo. That's when the young prodigy appears, charging with full vigor, attacking the remaining mutated beast. He is holding a broken keyboard. He pours his power into it, turning it into a deadly weapon. Just then, in another location, a woman smells a scent. She looks to see where it's coming from, and when she is shown in close up in the middle of the desert, she recognizes the scent and wonders if someone is coming to see her. Then we return to Rudo. He is typing something into the keyboard, and when he presses enter, the keyboard comes alive. The keys fly out like missiles and target the mutated beast. The beast is completely destroyed by what Rudo did, and he calls it a damn bastard, and leaves a mark on its back that reads, "Bastard." On top of that, in a fit of rage, Rudo gives the middle finger to the first mutated beast he defeated. Just then, the woman of the Forbidden Zone slowly smiles, and the mutated beast that Rudo defeated finally falls. Rudo is completely exhausted afterwards, but they are still in the middle of danger. A sandstorm blows at Rudo just as he opens his eyes, making him rub them in discomfort. While he is doing so, NGJ remarks that the mutated scorpion beasts are indeed numerous. And since they emerge from the ground, that probably means there is a lot of waste buried under the sand. Then he hears Follow calling Tom, telling her that filming is important, but not until the battle is over because it's not safe yet. Tom replies that she knows that, but she's afraid she'll forget later. Besides, isn't it Follow's and the others' role to protect her in the Forbidden Zone? And she trusts him to do just that, but he still reminds her to be even more careful about the surrounding dangers. At the same time, a dark female figure emerges from the sand cloud, making Judo look in its direction, waiting for her to fully appear. He is confused to see a figure approaching from that direction, and then Delman suddenly appears behind him, shouting, "There you are!" Startled, Rudo quickly realizes it's just his teammate. Then, Tensi remarks about the giant sand cloud that just appeared. That's why they almost lost track of Rudo. Delman comments that Rudo seems fine and wishes he could have witnessed that heroic sight firsthand, so Tem reassures him that they will surely see more in the future. Delman intends to object, but Tem cuts him off, saying that next time he just needs to stay closer. Meanwhile, Rudo thinks to himself, thank goodness, because at least this time he was somewhat useful. Then, Rudo notices Delman seems to be trembling, so he begins to wonder what he just saw. Delman and Ty are both staring behind Rudo, where the woman emerged from the sand cloud. Everyone remains motionless as she slowly walks towards them, looking completely stunned. The woman's gait is unsteady as she approaches. Then she says, I knew it, confirming her suspicions and asking the cleaners if they all came here just to meet her. She speaks in the third person, calling herself Amo. In the next scene, Zapper is asking about the Forbidden Zone Penta, confirming its location with his boss. But the answer is that it's another area. While the boss stares intently at the TV screen, they are told that if they go there, they will find what they are looking for. Then we return to the woman, and she finally fully emerges from the sand cloud. Tensi asks her how long she's been there, and Delman replies that despite the bad visibility, he still can't believe he didn't sense the woman's presence. Enin and the others arrive, and Enin wonders if the woman is the one they're looking for. But Janka thinks it's too convenient. Rio adds that so far the woman doesn't seem hostile, so maybe they can ask her for directions. Rio then gets the woman's attention and asks if she has seen someone passing between heaven and this world. Janka immediately asks how she could ask the woman that. The woman stops and says yes, she is that person, making Rio say that she must be the one they're looking for. Aang remarks that they might have gotten lucky and suggests they listen to what she says before leaving. But before he can finish, the woman suddenly coughs. She says it smells bad there and is not good for her lungs. So if they are going to talk, why not come to her place where they won't need to wear masks? Janka asks why she isn't wearing a mask, and she replies that her place is just a short walk away and asks if they are coming. Just then, Rio tries to get Enin's attention and asks if, given what the woman said, he would like her to go talk to the woman. Enin replies that they will all go because if the woman is planning something, he prefers to talk frankly, but if they have to fight, he will deal with her himself. Rio immediately asks if he's sure. Then Engine confidently declares that he is the best at adapting to any situation. In the next scene, they arrive at Amo's residence, where books are scattered everywhere and tiny ghosts are dispersed around. Rudo looks completely shocked by what he sees, and that's because Enin is on his knees, seemingly unconscious with some kind of liquid flowing from his mouth. It's caused by the woman, and the liquid continues to flow from Enin's mouth until he finally collapses, leaving Judo stunned, trying to understand how everything happened. In the next scene, the clock hands start turning backward, reversing what happened until it's 3 o'clock, and we return to an hour earlier. Amo is leading the cleaners to her place, and soon they arrive and are greeted by a giant staircase. The cleaners are stunned by the size of the place, and Engine calls it a giant mansion. Janka says he saw it when they were still approaching, but he didn't think it was actually someone's home. While Tom says she didn't know such a grand structure existed deep in Penta and someone told her to record it, Rudo looks up at the towering building, thinking it looks as if they could almost touch the world. Just then, Amo calls them back and invites them in. Enin and Rudo are speechless, and as they all enter, Rio remarks that there are many things there that are overwhelming. Amo says the living room is a bit messy, so she'll only receive them in her room. She also tells them they can take off their masks because there's no unpleasant smell inside, so there's no need to wear them. And besides, isn't it a bit rude if they want to talk to her but don't show their faces? The cleaners have no answer to that and just follow her into the room. Then Amo is clearly delighted to finally see the cleaners' faces. She calls them cute, cool, and very elegant, saying she's really happy to see their faces. Tom starts recording what they see and writes something about the surprisingly luxurious interior of the top floor. But Chris tells her she doesn't need to record that. Meanwhile, Rudo notices something on one side of the room and wonders why there are so many objects there, even though they are in the middle of the desert. Then Amo snaps her fingers to get the cleaners' attention and asks what they want to talk about. Rudo looks at Engine, who nods at him, signaling him to speak. Rudo tells Amo that they want to ask about the person who can go up and down between heaven and this world, because they heard Amo saw that person. That's why they came to see her. Amo replies, if so, then they should talk about their ideal type. The cleaners are all stunned by her answer, unsure what she means. Amo explains that she likes people with strong scents because to her, scent is more important than appearance. She starts smelling the cleaners and says that among them, the one she likes most is the big guy, Delmon. Rudo asks what she means, then grabs his shoulder. Enin asks Amo if she means that to get information, they have to talk about their ideal type as a payment. But Amo is confused about the payment for information part that Enin mentioned. Engine clarifies that they are there to gather information about going to heaven. So talking about their ideal type for information is somewhat strange. But they will be friends with Amo. It seems Amo doesn't like that at all, so she falls silent, then suddenly gets angry and asks what they mean. She is angry at Enin's answer, accusing them of not really wanting to talk to her or, worse, seeming to just be trying to take advantage of her. She says she was happy to have guests from outside, but now it feels like they are just there to use her. And while she is saying this, Ang remarks that she has lost her composure. Amo then asks if they are one of those people who only want to see her if they have a reason. And she adds, "Are you kidding me?" She says she doesn't care if it's a lie or not, but if they just said they wanted to see her, that alone would make her happy. Angin apologizes and says he should have said that, admitting that he is interested in Amo. But Amo yells at him, "Don't lie to me!" Amo declares that Enin is no longer her type, so she thinks to herself, how annoying, and asks her if he can say what he thinks. Then he asks if she can put on some clothes because he doesn't know where to look. Amo is shocked and trembling with anger. She shouts that he is the worst of them all because he is a man who cares what women wear, and she declares their friendship is over. At that moment, she seems to be using her boots as Jinky, and Engine is clearly annoyed, muttering that she is truly a Rudo. Meanwhile, Rudo notices something strange about the woman. His face shows recognition, and the mark on her boots is identical to the one on his gloves. This indicates a connection between them. Both begin to tremble, one with anger, the other with shock. Amo then says she'll leave the rest to a big guy who turns out to be Delman, and just then, he points something at Engine, who stands there confused, not understanding what's happening. Then we return to the present where Engine has collapsed on the floor. Just then, the cleaners turn to Delman and their faces show shock. Rudo asks what he did to Engine, but he looks dazed and distraught, not even aware of himself. Rudo observes how unusual Delman is and thinks something is wrong, so he accuses Amo of doing something to him. He asks if Amo is also a Jinky user and points out that her shoes have the same mark as his gloves and asks who she really is. Amo just smiles, looking cute, then asks Rudo what his ideal type is. Everyone is silent, stunned, so she asks why they are all silent. She says communication is the foundation of normal conversation, and if only she speaks, they won't be able to get any closer. She adds that everyone likes to talk about themselves, so if they all share about themselves, it will be fun because the cleaners are the guests she has been waiting for a long time except for the Killjoys. So Amo thinks what she's doing is useless because it seems they can't maintain a conversation at all. Then Janka says, "I see, that only the voices of those who go along with the topic Amo starts and those who don't and ruin the atmosphere reach her." So he says his voice had better reach Amo's ears and he calls her ugly. Then he says the strange conversation is over and he doesn't know what kind of trick Amo played. But how dare she do that to Engine? He adds that he doesn't care if they are discussing heaven or anything else. If Amo is hostile, he will simply crush her. Amo is shocked by what Janka says and asks why he is saying such cruel things when she hasn't even done anything. She says Janka is too malicious and that she is really hurt. Then we see her in tears with an angry expression clearly visible. Suddenly, Delman attacks Janka from behind, but Janka senses it and dodges just before Delman can smash his head into the ground. Junka asks Delman what he's doing because they are on the same side, and he realizes that Amo's ability might be manipulation. But before he can finish, Delman shouts, "How dare you say Junka hurt my girl's feelings?" Delman adds that no matter who it is, even an ally like Junka, he will not forgive him. He says Amo is the reason he fights, and he will protect her because it is his great cause. This makes Amo blush with excitement. However, Tem says Junka is wrong because Delman is not manipulated, and those are his true feelings. Tem has been with him all this time, so he knows. Chris says he doesn't understand either, so he asks what exactly that means. Amo thinks for a moment and suddenly has an idea, then suddenly grins. She asks the cleaners if they realize that Delman has always been a fan of hers. Rudo, Follow, and Grizz are shocked and ask since when, but Tai disagrees with her, saying that Delman is not the type of person to hurt teammates just for someone he likes. But Amo replies that Tem doesn't understand because for her sake, Delman would easily give up on anyone. Just then, Delman's Jinky rattles and begins to transform. While Amo says there's no other way because she didn't do anything wrong and she just wanted to talk. Then, it is revealed that Delman's Jinky is a watering can which he calls his great dumbbell. Tensi frustratingly says that they only came for information, but this is becoming more troublesome. Rudo, meanwhile, looks worried, wondering why things always have to end in a fight and blaming himself for what's happening. Someone tells him that it's actually his fault, and he turns to see who said that, confused. It feels like he has returned to the past when everyone called him a criminal because of his parents, called him filthy, and that he would dirty others too. They used to chant "filthy" at him, and now Amo says the truth is that there is another cleaners among them who is a fan of hers. All she really wanted was for everyone to have fun talking together. But if someone ruins that fun, then perhaps Rudo will be punished. And now he looks truly terrified by what he is seeing. Just then, he is surrounded by sky guards and he doesn't know what to do out of fear. One of the guards approaches him and tries to grab him, but he tells him why they are there. The person approaches him just staring at him and suddenly pulls him. Just then, he wakes up back to the present where Tensi is yelling at him asking what he's spaced out about. And it turns out it was he who pulled him because he was about to be hit by a stream of water from Delman's attack. The attack hits a wall, breaking it due to the tremendous pressure, and Tem looks over at Delman. Delman says, "Don't dodge my watering can." While Tem explains to the other cleaners that Jinky is Delman's past and was born from his desire to grow plants. When someone is hit by Delman's water, they will grow larger, just as its name implies. That's why it can control the water content of any object. And since humans absorb water like a sponge, they will inflate like a balloon. Then, Tensi asks the others what they think would happen if humans absorb too much water and says that they would explode. At that moment, Tom has taken care of Engine, and Junka remarks that the watering can must have attacked from behind with a flashy appearance. So he wonders how Delman could attack without Enin noticing. Tensi replies that Delman's sprayer changes depending on its use, and it had switched to silent sprayer to attack a 9. However, he says that Delman had never used it on a person before. So it must certainly be caused by that girl. But before he could finish, Rio interjects saying that she doesn't understand what Tensi means. So now she will go and make Delman obedient. She walks towards him and adds that she must pluck out the cause of his instability. And Junka warns her not to go alone because Delman is too troublesome as an enemy and they must cooperate before someone else gets hit. Just then, Rio recalls what Amo had said earlier, that another among them secretly was a fan of hers. While Junka is talking to her, Rio whispers that she can't trust anyone right now. But suddenly Junka shouts that someone is right in front of her. And when she looks, Delman's Jinky has aimed at her with water pressure adjusted to strong. A huge stream of water breaks one of the walls in Amo's house. And as the debris falls, Amo is really impressed by how wonderful Delman's weapon is. However, she begs him not to destroy her house and says if he continues, she will make him help her fix it. Then, the footage cuts to Rio lying on the floor, clearly stunned by what just happened. She says that was close and Junka tells her to focus. Amo is extremely amused and mocks the cleaners for not even being able to tell who is an ally and who isn't. She also reminds them that, as she said before, if they had just talked to her, they would have had countless fun. She adds that talking about their love is the first step towards peace. This makes Tem call her a lunatic. Tensi then tells Rudo to sober up, but he is shocked to see him because he looks like he's losing his mind, muttering that that place should be the surface and clearly delirious about what's happening. Tensi is completely confused by him, but he treats him like a man of the sky. That's why he thinks maybe he really has returned to the sky and asks if he has returned yet. Janka then asks what nonsense Rudo is talking about, and suddenly a scent wafts past him and he says, "It smells nostalgic." Amo then asks the whole group how they think memories are created. She explains that the things people see, smell, the people they are with, and all sorts of events become memories. But for her, she believes that scent truly creates memories. Then she tells Rudo that if he doesn't want to talk about love, why not try to smell something nostalgic and try to pretend to be lovers? And just then she transforms into the form of Chiwa. Rudo's eyes widen at what he is seeing because he can't believe that Chiwa is standing right in front of him. She pulls something from behind her back and reveals the stuffed animal he once gave her. She says she is really happy and will cherish it forever. Because of that, Rudo seems to realize something and says that Chiwa didn't cherish it at all. She threw it away, threw it right in front of his eyes. Just then, he points at Amo, thinking she is Chiwa. Tensi then says that Rudo is next, and like Delman, what they are feeling is certainly not betrayal because it seems like they are being shown something that makes them act that way. Then he turns to Amo and says she is showing the two of them something through her ability. Amo looks confused and asks what he means because she isn't showing them anything. Then she takes a step forward and highlights her shoes. She says she is simply emitting a scent. She explains that the scent she emits is of happy times with the person they like, and the scent of those moments is her theme. She adds that the scent is different for each person, but once they smell it, they will protect her. Just then, she seems to realize she has said too much. As Janka reaches for his gas mask, he says he understands what Amo means. When they smell the scent she is talking about, they will start to see her as the person they like. At that moment, both he and Temi put on their gas masks. Janka adds that all they need to do is wear the masks and thanks Amo for telling them about it. Tensi then says that the memories created with the people they care about are not all happy from the start. So he wonders what would happen if someone held a grudge against the person they loved. And he quickly realizes that Amo could be killed because of that. He and Janka agree that they need to incapacitate the woman of the Forbidden Zone before anything happens. Amo calls them both idiots, fools, and worms. And she says they are crazy because she told them the theme is happy moments. Then we return to Rudo, who is clearly angry, and Chiwa says that Rudo abandoned her and she will never forgive him. But she still truly loves the stuffed animal he gave her. Rudo recalls how he covered his face with the stuffed animal before giving it to Chiwa. And when he gave it to her, not knowing what else to do, he ran away. Then he returns to the present and asks why the happiness he is feeling now is even stronger. Just then, two men appear and begin to take Chiwa away, so she begs them to release her. So she calls Rudo and asks for help. And of course, Rudo doesn't know that it's actually Amo calling him. In an instant, he rushes to Amo and punches Tem hard enough to send them flying. As both stand up, Janka says he is hurt by Rudo's attack and angrily shouts at him. Rudo turns to Janka and Tensi, calls them men and tells them that he is no longer the old him. He says that now he has strength, the strength to not lose anyone again and the strength to beat them up. Just then, Rio starts to stagger, so Tem looks over and she tells Amo not to worry because she will protect Amo. Follow too, so Tom is surprised, and Delman also says he will hit Janka and Temi. Janka admits they made a serious miscalculation and it's too late for everyone. He adds that he didn't want to use his jinky on teammates, but now he has no other choice. In the next scene, a woman says she didn't know that something could bloom in such a junkyard, and that something is a flower. The woman speaking calls Delman, and she says that thanks to his hard work, she can now see a real flower. so she thanks him for that. But Delman replies that one flower is not enough and he will fill the house with those flowers. That woman is Delman's wife, and just then he is looking at Amo as his wife. The cleaners stand beside Amo ready to protect the woman of the Forbidden Zone. Delman, Rudo, Rio, and Follow are all there. Although Amo doesn't know their names, she remarks that it's all her fans. So Tensi and Janka are still going to be spoilsports? Tensi then talks to each of his allies, asking them all to endure what he is about to do. And while saying so, he pulls out a stick with a spool of thread attached to the end. He activates his power through it and then slams it to the floor, declaring it his Jinki, which he names Tucson. That only makes Delman even angrier. While Temmie begins to approach Amo with Janka beside him and Grizz right behind, to Delman they look like people who hurt his wife. So he calls them bastards. He charges at them, shouting that he will never let anyone hurt his wife again. And Rudo, Rio, and Follow charge in with him. They rush in from different directions, surrounding the pair. That's when Tem fully focuses, spins his spool, and unleashes a series of threads he calls a net. The threads fly across the room, wrapping around Rio, Delman, and Follow, all of whom are stunned by what's happening. The threads bind them tightly and hang them suspended in midair. With that, no one is left to protect Amo. She asks what the hell is happening and why a string suddenly appeared making her room look like a mess, then orders her guardians to do something. However, none of them can do anything. Rio tries to struggle free but only ends up hurting herself. According to Tensi, they shouldn't move too much because the more they move, the more tangled the threads will get. That's why he apologizes to them. He thinks the pain might help them sober up, but it doesn't seem to work. Amo calls them bad people, and from the way Tem speaks, it seems like he is experimenting on his own friends even though he is hurting them. However, that experiment failed because if it was truly for her benefit, no matter how badly his guardians were injured, they would try to escape even if bleeding to death. Amo also realizes that Tensi's Jinki is a thread winder, and he asks her if she knows that device was originally used to wind thread. And as he says that, he spins his Jinki again. He announces that the winding of the Guardians is complete, and with that, the capture of the crazy woman Amo, who is now hanging suspended in midair. Inside Amo's house, Tem has successfully restrained her with his threads. As she hangs upside down, Tem orders her to immediately return everyone to normal. Janka is surprised by his quick action. Everything is happening strangely in many ways, and he admits it's a bit awkward, especially since he didn't even get to do anything this time. Tensi disagrees, saying that just realizing they were dealing with more than one enemy mentally stressed them out. In his opinion, even Janka calling Amo ugly was particularly effective. In the back, Riss slowly walks over to Tom. He is relieved to see her wearing a mask. When he asks about Ennin's condition, Tom replies that there's still no response. She simply put a mask on him as a precaution. Grizz tells her that they need to take him to their medical team immediately. Tensi glances back, clearly affected by the situation. Meanwhile, Amo is squirming and complaining that it hurts too much. She says it's been a long time since she was treated so roughly and calls Temsi the worst, cruel, and heartless. Then she screams and suddenly bursts into tears. As she cries for help, something strange happens. Follow, Rio, Rudo, and Delman suddenly regain consciousness and energy. Janka is confident that they won't be able to move due to Ty's restraints, but the cries for help seem to have given them more energy. The threads one by one begin to break. Amo shouts that what they did is unforgivable. She warns Ty and Janka that once she gets out, she won't let any of them leave alive. All their teammates have escaped the restraints as she continues to cry and act pitiful. Tensi sighs and says, "That's enough." Clearly she really likes that. He agrees to let her go this time. He raises his weapon and slams it to the floor. The impact activates his threads. They begin to twist and spin down to the floor. Delman is shocked and asks what's happening. The giant spool of thread spirals downwards, digging through Amo's room until it creates a deep hole. Janka uses his staff to grab the edge of the hole. and when he looks down, he can't believe what Tempsey just did. Their teammates fall straight to the bottom, and Janka remarks that it was excessive. Their teammates lie sprawled on the floor, forcing him to jump down, clearly worried about them. But Tempsey simply says that everything is fine. As he lands, he can't accept that statement. Not after seeing the condition of their teammates. From above, Amo looks down and continues to feign tears. She says that's what happens when people refuse to talk to her properly. No matter how hard they try to hide it, people's true nature always comes out. A sharp object pierces Rudo's side, and the pain is evident on his face. Amo adds that since Tempsey is the worst, it's only logical that they could all die there. She laughs and declares that he and her teammates are completely incompatible. Janka glares sharply at Tem, but Tem simply asks if he forgot something. Janka doesn't understand what he means because it seems he really did forget. Tem reminds him that although they could all be seriously injured, there is one thing that can neutralize it once. He explains that they all have a charm drawn on them thanks to Remlin. Enon stands up, agreeing, saying that they are all fine now. He is also among them, standing right behind Amo. Then he temporarily confiscates her boots. Back at the cleaners' headquarters, someone remarks that he hopes the team gathered information at the border safely. That person turns out to be the cleaners' boss, Kovi. He is talking to someone who is silently looking at Rudo's file. In her opinion, there shouldn't be any problems, especially with the members accompanying him. However, Kov notices she seems a bit sad. He asks if it has anything to do with what's inside Rudo. Something seems to be bothering her, so their boss gently asks if she can share it with him. When she first saw Rudo, what exactly did she see in him? Back at Amo's mansion, Engine is holding one of her shoes and says it's annoying to only wear one sock. But he is completely shocked to realize she isn't wearing any socks at all. Amo immediately demands he return it, repeatedly asking him to return it. Finally, Enon gives in and says, "Okay, I'll return it." Amo insists that he must not touch her boots because it will erase the person's scent. Engine becomes curious and asks who she is talking about. So he lowers his mask and smells the boot while still holding Amo with one hand. He thinks the smell is terrible and can't believe she actually wears it. Then he remarks that he smelled it, yet he still feels fine. Amo gets even angrier, yelling at him not to smell it, and again calls him the worst, demanding her boots back. Meanwhile, Riss asks how long it's been since he recovered, still amazed that his internal organs were crushed and the charm healed him. Tom adds that while she was trying to bandage him, he pretended to be asleep and asked her for something. Enon again says he will return the boots, but only if Amo neutralizes her ability and returns everything to normal. She doesn't answer immediately, instead muttering that she can't emit scent with only one foot, so everyone won't be able to protect her anymore and return to normal. Down below, Delman wakes up confused, asking what happened. Tempsey is surprised and delighted that Remlin's charm worked so effectively. He praises her efforts while Delman looks around skeptically. Knowing that he is conscious again, Tem explains that the girl Amo played a trick on all of them. A scent that evoked memories of happy moments with their loved ones. That's why Delman and the others mistook her for someone they deeply cared about. Delman bows his head in shock as he realizes that the person he loved has not actually returned. The sudden realization crushes him. Janka in the back thinks to himself, "This girl's ability is disgusting." If someone important to you is lost, memories of your happy moments can be stronger than for others. And even if they regain consciousness, the reality is still harsh. Engine then throws a stone down and orders everyone to put their masks back on. He hands Amo her boot, and she quickly snatches it back, looking annoyed. When everyone has reassembled, Janka asks Engine what their next plan is. He says that even if they give up on gathering information and return, leaving that girl there is too dangerous. They can't just abandon her there. Engine thinks for a moment, then replies that she is just a girl whose only ability comes from her Jinky. However, he doesn't want to take away her precious Jinky, but instead wants to encourage her not to harm others. Amo, meanwhile, complains that she feels terrible. On top of that, her house has been destroyed. She asks if they feel any guilt for what they did. But the incident has clearly left a heavy impact on Delman, Follow, and Rio. Yanka becomes irritable at her attitude. Rudo, meanwhile, takes off his mask. Yanka notices and asks what's wrong with him. Back to the conversation between Koval, Samal explains that she has met all kinds of people. But whatever it is in Rudo, it's something none of them have. It's not just his jinky, but also his gloves. There's something different about them. The scene cuts back to Rudo. He stares at Amo and starts walking towards her. Amo smiles as she notices he has taken off his mask and teases him, asking if he's captivated by her scent. But Rudo just continues to stare, then suddenly raises his fist and punches her in the face. The cleaners and supporters are stunned by his action. Even Amo herself is shocked and doesn't understand why he did it. Rudo's expression has changed. He looks very serious, as if ready to kill her. He throws a series of punches, his eyes full of rage. Amo is covered in blood from being beaten. Samil speaks up, expressing concern, saying that something inside Rudo is growing. The cleaners try to restrain him as he continues to attack. Samil adds that whatever is inside Rudo, it has the potential to destroy the world, classifying it as a curse. The cleaners call Rudo, trying to pull him out of his rage, telling him that's enough, but he continues to attack relentlessly. They say he has gone too far. They ask him what's wrong and urge him to stop. Rudo breathes heavily after treating Amo like his punching bag. She lies on the floor in a pathetic state, her face bruised and bones sore from the attack. Riss walks in and begs him to stop, saying that they have found a way to deal with her ability and there's no need to go that far. He reminds Rudo that she is a girl, but Rudo just replies, "So what if she's a girl? Am I not allowed to fight back just because the enemy is a woman? Am I supposed to be silent and say nothing just because she's a girl? Am I supposed to ignore everything even after she kills my friends?" Rudo says he can't do that. Grizz tries to explain that's not what he meant, it's just not right to hit a helpless girl. But Rudo insists she's not helpless, she is a jinky user. He blames Amo for the mess they were in from the start. It wasn't just what was outside. She mocked them, trampled on them from the inside. That's why she needed to be hit. Grizz is silent, as are the other cleaners around them. Engine then walks in, calmly asking, "If that's what you really think, then what about the information?" That seems to pull Rudo back to reality. While Amo lies on the floor completely beaten and bruised, Rudo looks up at Anin, worry and regret clearly visible on his face. Angan pulls Rudo aside and says they need to talk. He instructs Tom to treat Amo and she immediately goes to help. Outside the room, Anin and Rudo sit down near the door to rest. Rudo is sweating with anxiety while Anin closes his eyes. When Rudo glances at him and sees he's still silent, he asks why he isn't saying anything. Angan replies that even if he doesn't say anything, it seems Rudo has already realized it himself. He forgot what he had to do and just indulged his emotions. Rudo is silent, knowing he's right. He admits that when he was up there, he often repressed himself. No matter what people said, he was told not to get angry, to endure. But when thrown into the abyss, he believes that if he continues to repress, he will continue to fail. He feels frustrated realizing he has just returned to his old self. The old Rudo used to vent his inner darkness on others before he learned to control it. Nothing he did truly changed. Whether up there or down here, he is still the same, annoyed. He curses himself, saying he's just a damn kid, just bigger. As he sits there simmering, Engine suddenly says something to him. He says he wants a good woman. Rudo looks up in surprise at Engine's random answer. Engine continues, saying what he really wants is a good woman, one smarter than him, with a great body, charming, and a good listener. Is that really asking too much? He adds that he doesn't like annoying women who are too childish. Rudo is confused by what he says, but as Angan explains, any woman who hears him say that would surely get angry. His bad point, he admits, is that he can't hide such things. There's still a lot he has to work on to grow up. Even though he's an adult, he believes it's important to be aware of that truth. He realized his shortcomings long ago, and Rudo has probably realized his mistakes too. That means they both have room to grow. The message seems to have sunk in with Rudo. Engine then suggests they both apologize later. They sit there silently, lost in thought. Inside the room, Tom takes out her medical kit and begins to treat Amo. She apologizes, saying they never intended for things to go so far, and sincerely asks for forgiveness. She takes off her mask and smiles, telling Amo that she is happy to talk to Amo for as long as she wants. And if Amo wants, they can even gossip a bit. Amo is silent for a moment before gently saying that Tom would surely be a wonderful mother. Tom giggles at that. Amo then shares that her mother was a good person. Thanks to both her parents, she met her first love. She adds that the boots she cherished so much were made. Moreover, she says she saw an angel cross between heaven and their world. Tom is stunned to hear about angels and crossing from heaven to their world. Realizing that Amo has revealed the information they were looking for, she immediately asks what exactly Amo meant. As Amo looks up, she recalls a childhood memory. Back then, she was just a little girl, and when she looked up, she told her mother that she saw a bird. It was black and white, white and black. She said it looked soft and cute. Her mother turned to her and said that Blackbird could never love her. So they should be silent. Amo stopped and wondered why, then suddenly shouted that she hated it. She repeatedly yelled, "I hate you!" at the bird and told it to go away. And so it flew away. She said she wouldn't be fooled by it and called it foolish. Her mother looked at her again and told them they would go. She took Amo's hand, and when asked where they were going, she replied that it was to a place where everyone would love her. They walked through a narrow, deserted alley until they reached a waiting carriage. A man was standing next to it, and Amo was curious about him. She asked her mother who he was, and her mother simply said that she was happy for her. Without that man, no one would love Amo. She said she was glad to know Amo would finally be happy. Little Amo couldn't understand what she meant, while the man just stared at her. He smiled brightly when he saw her, especially when she happily asked if he loved her very much. Amo happily skipped towards him while the man smiled and handed something to her mother. Money in a bag? Amo was still happy, not realizing that at such a young age, she had been sold by her own mother. She got into the man's carriage and rode with him alone, innocently. She asked where they were going. He told her that they were going to a perfect home for her, where no one else would interfere and it would become their home. After a journey through the desert, they arrived at an extremely tall house. Amo gazed up at its height in astonishment. The man emphasized that she would not be able to leave this place because it was too dangerous outside. As they entered, Amo thought it was a beautiful house and wished she could show it to her mother. But the man told her that her mother had given up on being close to her. From now on, this place would be her environment. His eyes widened as he put his finger to his mouth and said he would be the one to raise her from now on, forever. And so from then on, he gave her a photo album full of photos. Then lots of daily food and the outfits she wore as she grew up. She curiously asked if he got those things from his work. He said yes, because he was a salaried employee, so he didn't have to worry about supplies anymore. Suddenly, he stopped and fell silent. His mood changed abruptly, and he began to break down. Although he had done all those things, he said everyone still hated him. He couldn't understand why, outwardly, he looked like a normal person. Wasn't that scary? He asked. Although he was an important person at work. Noticing Amo looking at him, he brushed it off and said they could talk about it later. Then he crawled towards her and called her name. He told Amo that the room they were in was originally built for rituals. So they had to perform that ritual and they would always do it together. While clutching her clothes, Amo confessed that her heart always beat fast whenever they did that, and it was extremely difficult for her. The man didn't expect her to say that. He smiled and told her that what she was feeling was great love. Amo was curious what he meant. The man continued to explain that in the storybook he gave her, the woman's heart also beat fast because she had fallen in love with a prince. Slowly, he moved closer and told her that she was in love with him. Hearing those words, Amo couldn't fully understand her emotions. but she accepted it. She smiled, thinking that maybe this was what love felt like, but in reality, he was just taking advantage of her, using her. He even commented how good she smelled. As she lay still, staring at the ceiling, the man got up and left. Amo's gaze followed him as he picked up his boots. She just smiled when she looked at him because of what he said. She accepted it as her first love. So this is what love feels like. Suddenly, the house door burst open. Although Amo didn't move from the bed, both she and the man were surprised. They wondered who it was. From the open doorway, a masked figure appeared, casually saying, "Excuse me." As the masked man looked at the door, it turned out he wasn't alone. They opened the door and walked in, making Amo look at them confused. She asked who they were. The man with Amo couldn't speak immediately. As the masked figures moved straight into the room as if searching for something, the man became angry and demanded to know why they were barging in without permission. He declared that this place belonged to him and, "How dare you!" he shouted at them. He backed away and activated the jinky in his boots, threatening to kill them if they didn't leave immediately with his jinky. He threatened to kick them all to death. But the masked intruders noticed the symbol on his boots and then they acted. One of them moved with terrifying speed along the edge of the room and, to the man's surprise, delivered a fatal blow. The impact extinguished the light in his eyes and made him fall to the ground. Amo was stunned by the sight and could do nothing but stand motionless. One of the masked figures took the boots from the unconscious man, while Amo just sat there motionless. Then, one of the masked figures approached Amo and stared at her. Amo didn't know what to do or say. The masked figure suddenly raised his hand, and the one who took the boots handed them to him. The masked figure then gave the boots to Amo and said they suited her better. What was missing in her heart would be filled by those boots. They would cover the void. Amo hugged her chest, then raised her hand to receive them. The masked figure gently placed the boots in front of her and began to walk away. The two then went to a large hole in the wall. One of them remarked that it seemed to be the closest point. He extended his hand to his companion, who stepped in under his cloak, and they stood there together, still being closely watched by Amo. The masked figure once again told her that until the time came, he would lend her those boots. But she had to use them carefully. Amo, now filled with emotion, asked him who he was. Her eyes widened in astonishment when she saw he had wings. The couple flew into the air together, leaving her astonished and even in tears. As she watched them fly, she wondered if they were angels. Suddenly, they plunged down, making Amo nervously lean forward. She stood up and looked out. And to her surprise, they flew up again, their wings flapping right in front of her. They flew higher and further, and Amo couldn't take her eyes off them. Behind her, the man who once claimed to own her stood up and approached. Amo turned to him, her face still full of astonishment. She asked him if he saw what just happened. She said those people might really be angels. She was amazed that it wasn't just something in a painting, it was real. But the man just called her name, pulling her out of that moment. Amo suddenly remembered he was injured. When she asked how his injury was, he suddenly pushed her hard against the wall. Angrily, he shouted that jinky belonged to him. He accused her of stealing the boots and called her a bitch. He asked if she really thought he would let someone like her touch them. Amo was stunned by the accusation. The man raised his leg and began to kick her violently, shouting, "Thief!" over and over again. How many times? He asked. He would have to teach her a lesson before she understood. As she endured his abuse, something stirred inside Amo. Somehow, this time it felt different. She thought to herself that although she usually felt nothing, as if she had lost the ability to feel anything, now there was a strange sound coming from her heart. That confused her. Was it because of these boots? She recalled what the seemingly angel-like person had told her earlier, that these shoes were for her, that they suited her better. And if that was true, then it meant she was the rightful owner of these boots. She hugged them tightly to her chest and whispered with firm conviction that she would never give them to anyone. Never. Back in the present, Rudo walks into the room and approaches Tom and Omo. Tom immediately looks worried when she sees him. Rudo looks a bit awkward, not knowing how to talk to them. Just as he is about to say something, Follow calls him and asks where he's been because the girl has started talking about the information he's looking for. Rudo is shocked to hear that. Omo continues to share her past. She recounts when the man she lived with suddenly became gloomy and beat her. While holding the boots, he wondered how and why the Jinki reacted to her. That should have been impossible because Jinki are bound to their users. He wondered why it reacted to someone else. Amo is clearly nervous, swallows, and replies that perhaps it was never truly his in the first place. She admits she doesn't fully understand what Jinki is, but she believes it suits her better than anything. She says the boots fill a void inside her. Sitting quietly, she explains that it feels like she has finally found what was missing inside her, like an old battery finally starting to work again. That's what it feels like. So is it okay? She asks. If the boots belong to her now, the man laughs and suddenly moves closer. He insists that no one can arbitrarily take away another's legal property. Then he snatches the boots from her hands. He says that perhaps she still doesn't understand about that hole on a basic level. Omo is confused, asking what he means. Didn't he also take other people's things? Moreover, she argues, she tried to be a good girl, and even the angel said the boots suited her better. So perhaps, just perhaps, they could really be hers. He suddenly asks her what's wrong, still clutching the boots. He demands to know why she isn't listening to him now. Is she really saying she won't listen to him anymore? Omo is clearly distressed and confused. She says there are too many emotions inside her now. She is trying to be brave. On top of that, she admits she is becoming restless. So she starts to consider doing something bad. Still refusing to let go of the boots, she begs him, saying this will be her first and last selfish request. Please give her the boots. She asks why he wants them so much. The man stops for a moment and stares at the boots in her hands before suddenly shouting that he already told her. That is impossible. Amo bows her head, trembling with fear, but she still doesn't let go. He irritably asks how many more times he has to say it. Those boots belong to him and only to him. That's enough. No matter how many times she begs, he will not give them to her. Frustrated, he shouts that she is really starting to annoy him and orders her to let go of the boots immediately. Hurry up and do it! Overwhelmed by the chaotic emotions inside, Amo suddenly screams at the top of her lungs. Through tears and frustration, she repeatedly screams, "Why?" Is that all she's asking? Why can't he listen to her? Doesn't he love her? The man, now angry, raises his leg and kicks Amo hard in the stomach. But even then, neither of them lets go of the boots. Amo retaliates and kicks him back in the stomach, causing him to grab her hair and pull her down. They continue to struggle violently. Both are too angry and obsessed with the boots. No one is willing to let go. In the chaos of the struggle, the man loses his balance and is thrown towards the large hole in the wall. He didn't anticipate that. As he begins to fall, he reaches out to Amo as if begging her for help. But she just stands there watching him. She looks him straight in the eyes as he falls. He falls from a great height, and Amo witnesses his death with her own eyes. Standing by the hole, she stares into the void below, stunned, then out of nowhere, she begins to laugh. The emotions inside her swirl in confusion, grief, disbelief, and liberation. Everything feels surreal. She collapses, unable to understand what just happened. She wonders why things turned out this way, how they lived their lives, why she was taken to that place in the first place. Why did her mother introduce her to that man? As she looks at the boots, the answer comes to her. It's because she was sold, her mother sold her. Conflicted and overwhelmed, she thinks to herself that there's something wrong with all of this. And now she understands. She picks up the boots he left behind and smiles to herself. All of this, she says, is for love. She presses the boots to her face and inhales the scent, clearly satisfied. That man, the one she called him, was her great first love, and she would never forget him. With that, something deep inside her awakens. Her power surges. She decides that she wants to meet more people in that desert. She yearns to be loved by all kinds of people. Months pass after the death of the man she once lived with. One day, while wandering the desert, Amo sees them again. The creatures she calls angels are returning. Back in the present, Amo continues her story that the angels have returned. While drawing on the ground with a stone, she adds that those angels killed someone. The supporters and the cleaners listen in complete silence, absorbing every detail she shares. Her words plunge them all into deep thought. Chris can't believe the angels just appeared out of nowhere. Meanwhile, Tom feels sympathetic towards Amo, admitting that past must have been very painful. Follow raises a question. Are they really angels? Or could they just be people from above? Janka offers his hypothesis, suggesting it's likely just a winged Jinky user. However, Tem is not convinced. To him, Amo seems unstable, perhaps even paranoid. It's possible the whole thing is just an illusion. Rio then asks about the method, how they crossed the boundary. Amo answers directly. They fly with wings. But the team still has many unanswered questions. Where did that angel come from? Did it really disappear into the horizon? The whole situation remains a mystery. Enan has been listening silently all this time. He finally asks a crucial question. Exactly when did those angels return? Still drawing, Amo replies that it was about a month ago. As she says that, his gaze shifts to Rudo. Because that was also when Rudo came to the abyss. Everyone is stunned by the strange coincidence. Meanwhile, Rudo approaches Amo, looking at what she is drawing on the ground. When he gets a closer look, something in the drawing catches his attention. He recognizes it. He asks if that's an angel because he knows that masked man. He saw him up above. That means one thing: those people have come to the abyss. Although there were originally 2 of them, Rudo's teammates are speechless at what he just said. As they process his words, he thanks Amo for the clarity. He says he doesn't care if those so-called angels came here to find him or for some other reason. Because if they are down there, he will hunt them down. He promises to do everything in his power to find them. He will discover the truth about how to return and demands to know why they killed Lecto. Someday, they will apologize right in front of Lecto's grave. Then just like that, the darkness in his eyes vanishes and the old Rudo reappears. Still kneeling beside Rudo, he hears her call his name. She points out that, like her, the gloves Rudo wears have turned his heart into a human heart. And she is sure that their Jinky have excellent compatibility with their wounded humanity. She learned that she shouldn't try to fill the void inside her with everything, because what they already have is more than enough to fill the voids inside. Their own things are enough. She confesses that she has regained them. She has regained the emotions that a human being should have. But now that she is human again, she has begun to realize the truth about some things. Tears stream down her face. She finally understands what he really did to her all that time. And with that realization comes a heavy burden. It's sad to be alone. This touches Rudo. Amo gently wipes away her tears and admits that more than anything, she wants to feel needed by someone. But the thought of leaving the desert terrifies her. So instead she stayed, waiting for someone to come to her. She tried again and again to build relationships with the people who passed through there. But in the end, it never really worked. Now she knows Rudo has come to apologize. Before he can say anything, Amo stops him. She tells him that he doesn't need to because they are the same. But she retracts her words and says, actually, everyone is the same. Everyone just raises their hands to hurt others. That's why the world will never change. Rudo stands silently absorbing her words. After a moment, he raises his hand and offers it to her. He sits down and says that they should reach out to others together. Rudo admits he doesn't fully understand how to do that, so they should learn about it together. Amo smiles, her tears drying on her face. She says that he did the right thing right now. Shortly after, the entire team descends the stairs, ready to leave. One of them asks if Amo is really not coming with them. She replies that she wants to stay a bit longer to clear her head, but she asks to keep in touch and calls Rudo. He looks back as she raises her collar, nodding in agreement, saying that they will talk occasionally. With that, Anine orders them to move. And as the others follow, someone looks back and reassures Amo that someday they will return for her. Rudo bids Amo farewell, telling her they will meet again. Amo smiles back, and as the team slowly leaves, she calls out to them one last time. "See you later," she says. The whole team gets into the car and drives off. While moving, the conversation turns to what they have learned. Even though they haven't found a clear way to cross the boundary, there is still something valuable they gained from all of this. Engine notes that at least they learned about the existence of angels, who seem to know how to cross the boundary, and they also saw a jinky with a symbol similar to Rudo's gloves. Rio interjects, suggesting the boots might belong to the same series of mysteries mentioned by the destroyers not long ago. That is certainly a possibility. Meanwhile, Rudo sits silently lost in thought. Back at Amo's house, she quietly talks to herself, thinking about the angels again. She closes the door, smiling at the thought that they want to see her again. Perhaps next time she hopes they will stay, but then something changes. She notices a shadow in the corner of the room and turns towards it, her expression sharp with confusion. Someone is waiting for her. She asks who it is and what he wants from her. The shadow seems to be trying to take her boots, and she resists, telling him to give them back. There is no one else around to help her. After a struggle, she lies motionless on the ground. As we hear Rudo thinking about how angry he was and how he punched Amo, he thinks that when he finds those damn angels down here, he will go crazy. But after hearing Amo's story, his anger simply dissipates. Then it is revealed that the person who attacked Amo is Zapper, who says the desert is harsh, but he considers himself satisfied because he managed to obtain something in his own way. Back to Rudo, he sits deep in thought, wondering if he would truly feel calmer if he talked to Amo again. And this concludes this arc. If you found it interesting, please like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next summary videos of this series.